Welcome to the Virtual Carnival season, where Emccan brings carnival arts to your home during the COVID-19 pandemic. Today we've got a discussion between Ansel Wong and George Mighty about keeping carnival alive. Ansel is an independent board director for Emccan. He's also chairman of Element Mass Band. He's originally from Trinidad and Tobago, has worked extensively with the Black communities. Ansel was chair of Notting Hill Carnival Board and founder. He's an educationalist and an academic and has worked at senior levels in various organisations within the public and charitable sectors, including the Windrush Foundation. George Mighty has been chairman of the Derby West Indian Community Association since 1986. He has a desire to make the West Indian community have a voice in the wider community. In 1990, he was awarded an MBE for his services to society, and in 2012, a master's degree from the University of Derby. George has been a founder of Emccan, and in the original days, from the Procession Project, from MCAP, and taken it through various stages of its development. As a chairman, he's been my supervisor and line manager for the last 9 years. I hope you're enlightened by this discussion today, where we talk about keeping Carnival alive, not just the celebrations, but the struggles along the way. I'll hand over now to Ansel to take this discussion forward.
Good afternoon, George. It's Ansel here. I'm really feel very privileged and honored to have share this opportunity with you to explore some of the issues that we want to explore around Carnival. And I want to start off really to get a sense, and to the people who are listening and viewing this, of you in the early days. I understand you migrated to the United Kingdom. When did you come over?
I came in September 1961, 13th of September 1961.
And you came from Jamaica, yes?
Yes, Jamaica.
So
St. John's Garden Parish of Jamaica.
Right. So what were you expecting to see when you left Jamaica and when you arrived in the UK? What were your expectations?
Well, to tell you the truth, my expectation was that I was coming to England to study, work and study, because I think that we had that opportunity here. However, I think that when I came, I was expecting to be my mother country, which is what we're told. Are you going to your mother country? So I was expected to be treated as a child of England, but I didn't think that happened at the beginning.
So what was one of the worst experiences you've had in meeting this mother?
Well, I mean, the weather really, because when I came in September, it was quite dark actually. And I saw a lot of chimneys, which I hadn't seen unless you were on the estate in Jamaica, sugar estates. And I saw these chimneys with the amount of smoke pushing up in the air. So I thought, oh, there were a lot of factories here, but I didn't realize that the houses have chimneys as well, because we don't have those in Jamaica.
In a sense, I've had a similar experience, but because like you, I came in 1965 from Trinidad to study, to go to university, and I went up to Hull in Yorkshire. And one of the most endearing experiences I had was when I arrived at the university. They had an induction period for us, for all students from the Caribbean, Jamaica, Antigua, Barbados, Grenada. We all were put together to have an induction into British life. And you know what the first thing they did as part of that induction? They took us to the toilet to show us how to pull and flush the toilet.
Oh dear.
There was an assumption that we didn't have running toilets, water closets. And they spent some time doing that. Could you imagine that experience? So that's why I asked you, what are sort of experiences you had when you came to the UK?
Well, the point is that I came to my brother who was working here at Carriage Wagon Works, the British Rail. He was in Derby, and I came in fact, after coming off the plane, I don't know how I got on the train because I've never been on a train before, actually. I can't remember being on a train before. And when I came to the train station in Derby, I saw this chap who came from my area. His girlfriend was on the same flight, but I didn't know her. And so he said, oh, I know where your brother is, so come with me. And he put me on this, it took my suitcase, it helped me along. We catch a trolley bus, you know the trolley bus, the one
Yes.
that run online. And then he took me exactly to the address where I was supposed to be going, 1 Oliver Street, Normanton, Derby.
So why did you choose Derby?
Because I had a brother here working, as I said, at Caribbean Wagon Works, the British Rail, Caribbean Wagon Works in Derby. And I had another brother who was in Burton, but this other brother is a younger brother, and so I thought I'd come to him.
Yeah,
You know.
and one of your earliest jobs was in teaching, wasn't it? Could you tell me something about that? No.
No. One of my first job was a job at the Coke Works at the British Gas, a place called Dead Man's Lane in Derby.
Yes.
And it was a dead man. There was a lot of dust and all that. And I used to work on the bagging plant at the beginning because jobs were plentiful, much more than now. But I didn't want a laboring job, but that's what you couldn't get one of the jobs because the moment you ring up and apply for a job and they hear you, and if you go to, when you happen to go to the firm and they see you, you never get past the gate man. He won't let you in. Although you know there are jobs there, but you couldn't, you know. So, but I got one at Dead Man's Lane, probably because of the dangerous situation in working in the coal plant.
So looking at the Derby, the community in Derby, the Jamaican community in Derby, how did you spend your leisure time? How do you spend your spare time?
Well, because as I said, I came to work and study. So once I got that job, which I only stayed in for 18 months, I was studying at night school classes because I wanted to do I came to do engineering. That's what I wanted to do. And so I go to night classes over that period until I took some time off work, actually, when I did get a job that I wanted in engineering. I took some time off from Melbourne Engineering, which was one of my longest working experience.
So after work, how did you spend your free time? Were they going to the pubs? Were there special Jamaican events? What was the community life like?
You know, in 61, you have to remember we had no actual place of our own like now. We had to go to different pubs and stuff, and I didn't want to go to pubs, so I spent most of my time studying at home. When I don't go to class in the afternoon, in the evening, I then spend the time at home studying. It was, I didn't go to dance much. At weekend we have dances, but I was much more about studying and getting what I want out of education. So I go to family because I have family in Wolverhampton and Burton. So weekend sometimes you go and visit families. But the type of entertainment that you have now, you didn't have then because some of the places you weren't really accepted. You know?
Okay, so looking back now on your early days, what was the most memorable and enjoyable thing that you experienced?
I suppose I have to say when we got our building here, probably in 1982, you know, when we could really meet, and socialize, and we had good times because we always have at least independence, Jamaica independence, always celebrated, not in our building, somewhere in town, in other buildings. But we did have those once a year.
Okay.
Other than that, most people spend their time at the pub and playing dominoes and all type of things. You know,
Thank you, George. Thank you very much for this section. I want to continue to later on to look at those good times that you had, and also with the carnival. Thank you. Okay, in July 1986, you became chair of Derby Carnival. How did that happen?
I didn't come chair of Derby Caribbean Carnival. I was chair of the Derby West Indian Community Association. But
Okay.
the Derby Caribbean Carnival started at a small festival in 1975 by Mr. Solomon Walters, who was the chair of the association. We didn't have a building, but because we didn't have this building until 1982. So we were always having our meetings in pubs and in the community centers that we could access. And so Mr. Walters, in his wisdom, thought that we used to have a lot of problem with police and young Black people, and we wanted to help address that from the association point of view. But as I said, the association had no building, so we wanted to show the host community at least that we have something that we could, they could themselves benefit from. And Mr. Walters set up this little festival, and you know, it was small, but people had somewhere to go, and everybody was elated. You know, you meet and you dance around the pole, you know, what we call the maypole.
Maypole dancing, yes.
Yes, we do everything. We had tug of war, and that we have tug of war, and you know, the tug of war was with the police, really. That was really to trying to create better community relations with the police and young Black people. And so we have tug of wars, we have running, and you know, we have athletics and all that lot, and the field. So
it was very much like one of the British summer fairs, isn't it?
well, yes, it was just something to start the ball rolling, and it developed from there over many, well, I think it's around 44 years now. But you know, at the beginning, we have a lot of cultural dancing and the like. But it was, we have our own, the stalls were never, we didn't get people from outside to get the stalls. The stalls were the Derby West Indian Community Association stalls, and there were food there cooked by volunteers and sold by volunteers, and that's how we make money.
So what was some of the main Caribbean features of the carnival that made it a carnival?
At the time, you mean the early days? The early days was just music and dancing and you know,
costumes, making costumes and dancing
sports,
in costumes.
Sports. Oh, the costumes are made just. They weren't made like the costume we have today. They were actually just materials from the Caribbean, you know, dresses made. It was mostly women. So that was in today we have a few men. Those days you never have men in costume. So you know,
but that seems to be a tradition of carnivals, Caribbean carnivals all over. The majority of the performers are women. Yes, and in some instances they say over 60 to 70% of all performers in carnival are women.
The carnival, especially Derby Caribbean Carnival, because Derby has less, at the time, has less Caribbean people than Nottingham or the other big cities like Birmingham. So we started off, as I said, small, but we grew because we are probably the only carnival that always have international artists from the Caribbean. You know, we always have international artists from the beginning, although they were expensive, but we thought that's the way to grow carnival. And we really put a lot in after 1986 when the Caribbean Focus. You remember?
Yes, yes.
Where we send out one of our worker there to gather knowledge and so on. And that Caribbean Focus helped to put a lot of, make a lot of input into our carnival here in Derby.
So have you looking back on your involvement in Carnival for all these years, what were some of the major changes that happened under your chairmanship?
What are the major changes? The changes is about the development of troop development, costume development, because what we had, we use our building to young people design, and we have facilitators who help them to design and come make costumes. So we actually make the costumes here. So that is a big development for us. Costume development. What else? Dance choreography. You know, and we have a lot. I mean, we had our own Queen show, which was a family orientated, not like now. Now we have a regional Queen show. Then we have individual carnival Queen show. We did get our contestants from the floor. Sometimes they come in. They are nominated from events that we hold, you know. And we had to do a lot of fundraising for that. In fact, those were the areas that we used to get our funding from, because we never get any money from our local authority. First time we get any money from our local authority towards Carnival was 2005. All our money was raised through dances and fundraising.
All self-financing, I mean, one of the issues we've had, particularly in London, Notting Hill Carnival, was as a young people, our children and our grandchildren start to get involved in Carnival, what they want is very different from what we, as the older heads, are accustomed to. Did you see that evident in Derby?
Oh, yes. I mean, the fact, I suppose we have to learn that every generation has got, you know, will see things differently, and I suppose it's progress. Sometimes probably not progress because of what we would want to see, but it's progress in terms of development. And I think that our young people these days, with social media and all what is going on around there, they have got a different concept of what we wanted. But I think they are the only ones who can keep Carnival alive. Because whatever we do, whatever form Carnival take after this, then it's only our young people who will be able to steer it. We've given them some leads, and I think they can build on that. And whichever direction they take it, we hope that it's flourish.
So now that you're leaving in terms of the leadership and chairmanship of the Carnival, are you hopeful that the future with these young people will be assured, and that the legacies and the work you have done will be preserved?
In terms of Carnival, yes. Probably not in terms of development within the center, but in terms, because I think they want different things, and we know you have to also decide. You can have virtual Carnival, but you have to maintain the building, and you need funds to do that. But what I'm trying to say is that I think Carnival will survive probably not in the form that we have it now. Not as I think it could survive in the form that we have it after this pandemic, because things seem to be changing to virtual and working from home, and there are certain things you can't do from home. It has got to be done on site. But I think that I am hopeful that the foundation that we've laid for Carnival will stand it in good stead for the future.
Because George, you stand like a colossus on two major things, which is the center and Carnival, and you want to leave in those two things behind?
Well, everything we do is for posterity. I should hope. Yes, I want to make. I just want to see it flourishes. I didn't go into my teaching, the position of being a teacher here, because that would have taken into account a number of interviews to talk about the challenges I face as being the first Black teacher in Derby. So that would be further time. That's why I thought that was not an area that I would talk about at the time.
Okay. Thank you very much, George, for talking about Carnival and the Derby Carnival. It certainly was your pride and joy, and I think we all acknowledge and recognize what you have made, and we hope that the future of the event will build on the massive influence and the massive achievements that you have made. Thank you, George.
Thanks.
George, you have stood in a very unique position because you were the leader of a network of 4 carnivals in the East Midlands. Tell us about that.
That has been a journey, a real journey, because although we always work together as individual carnivals at arm's length, we were actually pushed into a consortium, if we would call it that, by the Arts Council, because I think they were trying to cut costs themselves, and they found it much easier for all 4 to fund all 4 carnivals. And it's cost effective for them as well. They give us less money now than we're individual carnivals. But it has forced us into a position where I hope we have become less parochial, because I still think that as 4 carnivals, I'm not saying this, Derby has always, and I mean I personally, have always felt that Emccan, which is the final body that we end up to, coming from the procession project to the MCAP to Emccan. It's been a long journey over a period of time. But I think that the collaboration, it has forced us to work much more closely together. We still have people with parochial attitude, and I tell them, when I was chair of Emccan, I still tell them that, and I still will tell them today, that we need to move away from that and make sure that Emccan is the overarching, but we still have our own individual carnival, but Emccan should be the body that we put a lot into, because it should be guiding us as carnivals.
As you said, each of them had their individual things. Did you have a real issue about trying to manage that individuality?
Yeah, that was a difficulty, because I still think they still have some of those parochial attitude today, but we've broken that down a lot over the years, because it was very difficult for people to move away from what they used to do, and they want to do it this way, and they can't see that we all could do it in a particular way, and that it still be right. But I think we've moved a long way, and I think that we can't go back now. We have to go forward. So I think that carnival under Emccan should, there might be changes, but I think we've laid the groundwork there for working together and to progress and to give Carnival a high profile in the country and to take its place, show that we are high art as well. You know, moving from just having the Eurocentric view, Black art is not just Black life matters, Black art matters too. And we, you know, and I see Carnival as the basis of Black art. The most
so you've been having to champion that, and you would have had to confront or potential partners, which would be the local authority, the Arts Council, the companies that work in each of these four cities, to try and help you to contribute to the carnival. What were some of the challenges you faced?
As I told you, we never, it's quite funny, Derby in particular never got any funding from its local authority until 2005. I think Nottingham and Leicester used to get money from their local authority. I'm not sure Northampton was in a different position. But we had to fight all the way, yeah? We have to fight even to have it in the venues. We had difficulty to get it in the parks sometimes, you know. So there were real challenges. I think the fight we've put up over the years, and because of the length of time that the activity has been going, and other communities benefit, as I said, it's such a participatory art form that people, it was free art form. Only nowadays we probably say that it probably can't continue like that. People might have to make some contribution. The revelers will have to make some contribution to keep it alive. But we had to fight all the way without funds from the local authority. We have to fight to use the premises, yeah? And we get restrictions from the police till later on they realize how valuable it is as a part of the culture of the city, or the cities in particular. So I think
in getting the cities to acknowledge and recognize the importance of Carnival, you obviously need the local papers, the media, the television to try and reflect that much positively. That has been, what's the experience of Derby and the other carnivals about that?
I think our papers was never, the Telegraph was never good. They'll put a spread in after the carnival, so you can see what happened, but they don't promote it before the carnival enough. You know, they might put a little bit about it. Even the radio need to be more, the BBC need to be more proactive in making sure they promote this as a significant part of the city's summer of events, yeah, that takes place. And I think it's become quite, I think it becomes standard now that this will happen. The pandemic has, we had decided that this year was going to be a real year of our carnival, but the pandemic has had other ideas. So we'll have to see how we fare after this.
I think the one was hopeful. I mean, it's a summer of activities, as you say. But for example, what we are experiencing with the BBC in London is that their online presentations of the Chelsea Flower Show, the online presentation of Glastonbury, the online presentation of Pride, all of that is happening, but nothing about Notting Hill Carnival. So yes, as far as the BBC is concerned, we don't exist as a major event in the summer calendar.
Well, and you know, for a public body that should be showing equality in terms of recognizing people's cultural input, then I think that they need to be called to book. One of the things that I think that our carnival and I hope it's making our young people realize about our cultural capital that we have, and that they actually try and develop the cultural competence to unlock all this capital, because it's there and we need to promote it. And we have to know about it. We have to know the value first. We have to be able to put it out there and make sure that everybody respect and recognize it.
And I think what you have done so far is sorry to position each of those 4 carnivals as part of a network to make them very important and significant in the cultural calendar of this country. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you.
George, I know you've had a very interesting and very memorable career in working in Derby with the Centre, the association, with Carnival, and working within your community. Do you see hopeful signs for the future of race relations in this country?
You know, on Sunday, they had a march here, and last Sunday, and I didn't go to the march, and a councillor, friend of mine, a nation councillor, rang me up at home and said, George, I didn't see you out at the council house. What happened while you were there? And I said, John, remember that I've been fighting race relation for equality and fighting racism for a number of years. I still do it. Now I can't walk that much, so I do not go to marches, but I will still fight it from where I am with my pen and my speech at any time. So I feel that what Black Lives Matters, and we know how long this has been going on. We know it's generation of fighting inequality. And I was thinking of the time I've been many years chair of the Commission for Race Relation in Derby, many years. And we've fought against a lot of things, and we've seen movement, but it really is taking its toll out of us. And I think that where we've reached so far, because they wouldn't know what it was like in the 60s. They wouldn't know what it was like in the 50s either. But they now know what it's like. They can see that there's still inequality. We have come a far way, yes, but there's so much further to go. And I do hope that our young people, as I said to my friend, will take up the cudgel now and then fight on to get the equality that we need as human beings. So I am hopeful, and I think that the seeds that we've sown, it's growing, you know, over many years, but it's growing slowly. And let's hope that what is happening now is a change for the better.
Well, certainly, I think the evidence is that it has energized communities in a very significant way. All communities, Black communities, white communities have got involved, even the press, politicians, and so on. And in a sense, it's a significant period of our history where we are able or having forced to confront some of those issues in terms of the experiences of discrimination, the experiences of disadvantage, and so on. And I found that very, very interesting because I was engaged with a number of people, young people and the millennials, to try and find a word that would describe what it is that Black people are experiencing now. Because they feel you can talk and say anti-Semitism and everybody knows exactly what that means. Mm. You can talk about Islamophobia and everybody thinks and know what that means. Mm. What do we have to describe or to explain the experiences of Black people in terms of our culture, in terms of our politics, our society, and so on, nothing. We can talk about anti-racism and so on, but there's not such a resonance. And these people put their heads together and they come up with a word.
Yes.
And knee necker. Putting your knee on somebody's neck, you become a knee necker, or suffering from knee neckism, which is a word we are saying that describes the frustration,
it's a new one.
Exploitation. It's a new word for us to use.
Yeah, a new one for the dictionary as well.
Yes, yes, yes. So we are hoping to go to a new normal, and that's what everybody's saying, that when the pandemic is finishes, we're coming to a new normal. Do you can envisage what this new normal will be like for Carnival?
And this is you know me personally, not very good with the social media. This Zoom thing today, this is the first time I have ever sat before anything like this.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it would come out like if I ever see it. But
you will see it. You will see it.
I don't know what to say, you know, about this because my young people, the young people that I have around, you know, they're just jumping up and down to say, when are we going to have Carnival? What are we going to do? And I think it's affecting them more than, I think they now come to see the value of Carnival. This lockdown probably will change their, will be a lot of change for them in their attitude towards what is provided and what is an opportunity, you know? Because they're really feeling it, that Carnival is not taking place this year. We're having a lot of, even the stall holders, you know, are giving us words, but we can't do anything because we can't use the property. Even if we had the chance, the local authority says, all properties are not going to be used for any of these things. But I do hope that, I don't know what I think that things are going to come back to near normal by next year when they get the vaccine. I think because the economic side of it will also have an impact on how things are going to be.
So we are facing an issue. We have in the whole of 2020 to start thinking about Carnival in 2021. We've had chance to think and to consult. What would be your advice or your recommendation to the people who are now planning for 2021?
I don't know that I have an advice, but I think that we need to, I would think that if we're planning, we should have a big extravaganza, you know, really make sure that the Carnival lives up to expectation, make sure that we cater for everything and every single person, disabled, person, people in wheelchair, you know, just to make sure we have a proper celebration for 2021. That it's so inclusive. Make it a very inclusive one for 2021.
Well, let's hope your dreams will be realized and your recommendation will be taken on board, because through your leadership, through the contributions you've made and the legacies that you have left, we can build on that. And I'm hoping that particularly the younger people will take the baton that you are leaving and help and develop. George Mighty, thank you very much for talking to me. Mighty in name and mighty in action.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ansel. I suppose I'll see you sometime.
You will indeed. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.